Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 8 of college football. This is the last week that everyone's going to be focusing on the AP poll. After this, we're finally going to see the big unveiling of the College Football Selection Committee and what they believe their rankings are going into college football playoff season. So that's going to be really exciting. But until then, we're still going to be using the AP poll machine learning model. So let's go ahead and dive on into what we predict the week 9 rankings are going to be after the full slate of week 8 games. And here are the top 25 predicted rankings based off of the AP poll machine learning model. What we're seeing is not a ton of movement that really up front, right? We only have a little bit of movement right here, and that's because Tennessee's taking a big dive out of number 11. Now, they are playing Alabama this weekend. The AP poll algorithm has had a tendency to be a little too aggressive in predicting drops from teams in that 10 to 15 range, right? So for that example, I would take that with a little bit of grain of salt. They'll probably be in that 20 to 25 range, but we've seen it before. USC dropped out from 11 completely out, but they were playing an unranked team. Tennessee dropping that far seems a little aggressive to me, but who knows? BYU moving up a little bit, Alabama moving up a little bit, LSU moving up a little bit, Georgia falling down. That is because they're playing number 1 Texas. So if Georgia loses to Texas, and I think according to the Vegas line, it's actually pretty close. It's predicted right now to be that Texas wins 30-26. We'll play with that game here in a second, but Georgia would drop down 3 slots down to the number 8 ranking. So this is what the rankings look like right now. Not a ton of movement. We only have Illinois dropping out, which would allow Memphis to slide in. There's a couple of other teams that could be top candidates. Vanderbilt, for example, could be a better candidate. But as of right now, everything is kind of stiff and no one's really moving after this week. When that happens, typically chaos ensues. So let's play around with the what if simulation tool on rankings right now. It's free to everyone. You just need to create a login and you can play around with as much as you want. But we're going to go ahead and make sure that we're on the AP top 25 rankings. Let's go ahead and grab the data. Here we are, the same exact top 25. If, for example, Texas does not beat Georgia at home, let's just flip this score. 30-26. What can we expect out of the rankings? Well, it's going to be actually a little bit of fun up in the top 25, in the top 5. A lot of movement. Georgia would move up 3 spots to the number 2 ranking. Oregon moves up to the number 1 ranking. Texas drops down to 4. Ohio State has to drop down now because we have to move Texas and Georgia, or you have to move Georgia back into those top 5. Texas slides down. So even if Ohio State wins this week, they could drop 1 in the rankings. So that's a really big surprise. Alabama only moves up 1 slot. It gets pretty gnarly up top. Another thing that people should be a little bit on alert for, especially if you're a Ducks fan, Purdue has 3 top 5 wins as an unranked team since 2018, and they're tied for the most with USC as an unranked team beating a top 5 AP poll team since 2010. So, what would happen if Oregon gets upset on the road in Purdue? That's a perfect hangover scenario, right? You have Oregon that just had an enormous game against Ohio State, maybe aren't completely focused in, a long trip all the way into Purdue. Let's say Purdue is able to pull up a upset. Let's call it 28-24. Let's go ahead and run the simulation. What would we see? So, as a reminder, we changed the Oregon and Purdue game right here, and now the rankings look like this. Oregon would drop all the way down to 6. Nothing else really changes, though. Georgia is still predicted to lose to Texas, so let's even throw that one in there as well. So let's go ahead and add that in there. We'll make that 30-26. And so now we have an upset alert, if you want to call Georgia beating Texas an upset, but I think you could qualify it. But if both of those things happen, Georgia is the number 1 ranked team, Penn State 2, Texas 3, Ohio State 4, Alabama 5, Oregon drops all the way down to 7. So we have a lot that is at stake right now. Should be a really fun weekend. Anytime it doesn't seem like that much is going to happen, it ends up being a complete day of chaos, which is always great. Make sure, if you haven't already, on our homepage, you can go ahead and subscribe to our weekly newsletter. We send out newsletters on Fridays, Sundays, and Mondays. Fridays go out over all of the games that are about to happen. Sundays are our final prediction going into the AP poll release. And Mondays are the comparison of the prediction versus the actual results. So all a lot of fun. Should be a great weekend of college football. Pay attention to all of the crazy games that are happening and pay attention to maybe the potential upsets like that Oregon-Purdue game. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great weekend.